Aha. Perfect. Well, hey there. I'm Shane Roach, and this is my amazing partner, Cindy Hook, as you all know. And welcome to our channel, The Creative Real Estate University, where we learn, grow, and invest together. We're real estate investors, we're go-givers, and we're private money lenders, and we created this space to build wealth through creative real estate strategies. So come join us on our Creative Real Estate Facebook group. It's a community of action takers where we share our wins, we learn together, and we level up daily. You can also catch our past videos on our YouTube channel, also at Creative Real Estate University. There we've got training, we have some behind the scenes breakdowns on deals, we have some great interviews, and really, if you go way back in the files, it's really how Cindy and I started our journey as a partnership. And we started buying in properties and what properties we were investigating. And it was just us opening what we did because we talk every day as it is. We just turned the video on and started recording. So, humble beginnings. We had less than 40 people following us. And now in our Facebook group, we have 4,500 members. So, truly blessed and honored for that. And if you're serious about earning strong returns as a lender, join a private money lender insider list. I'll have a link in the notes below when I get this thing published on YouTube. And on that, let's dive into today's show. And as always, let's learn, grow, and invest together. And actually, we're going to sneak in a little special segment today. We're going to have Cindy talk about some of the new SEC accreditation rules so then she can go grill onions.
That's the truth. Actually, before I talk about the SEC rule, you know what, Shane, I just want to say, it's been 3 years as a partner, and
Yep.
it's been up and down, me stressing out, Shane calming me down. I do a lot of rage texting to Shane, but he calms me down. And I look at other partnerships in real estate, that don't last, and what makes a good partnership is that Shane and I are completely opposite. We have our strengths, we have our weaknesses, but we already know what works and what doesn't work. But I just, Shane, I just want to say thank you for being my partner for the last 3 years, because I probably wouldn't be able to do it without you.
Well, I
I probably
appreciate that,
have
Cindy.
no hair on my head like you.
All the grays are say Cindy on them. If you look
Yeah.
up close.
Well, anyways, regarding SEC, so there was a new law that passed. So let's just talk about how you qualify to be an accredited investor. So accredited investor has nothing to do with your credit report, your credit score, nothing to do with that. What being an accredited investor allows you to invest in certain funds and certain syndications that you may not have been able to or had access to. So to qualify for to be an accredited investor, there's a couple things you need to know. You need to be, if you're a single person that has a gross income of 200K or more for your last 2 tax years, you are accredited as a single person. Or you and your spouse have a gross income with tax returns of 300K or more a year, you're considered accredited. Or there's ors here. So it's one or the other, right? Or you have $1 million in assets, not including your primary home. So that could be what I just found out recently too, was it could be art, it could be car collectibles, it could be gold, silver, or another rental house minus the debt, of course. It could be 401ks, it could be savings, it could be we talk about stocks, bonds, anything like that is considered your assets. So assets that add up to $1 million. Remember, it's not your primary home. Your business can qualify also as an accredited investor if it meets a certain criteria as well. Now the SEC just passed this law in March that If you have 200K, you can, and you invest with that 200K, that full 200K, you are considered accredited. You have to show your bank account that you have, that you're proven that you do have 200K. You're going to have to wire that 200K into the fund or syndication that will also qualify you as an accredited investor. So it opens the doors for folks that maybe don't qualify. They don't, maybe they don't have the income. Maybe they decided to go off and do something else and they don't have that income anymore. Or maybe they have some income but don't have the assets, but they have the cash. Oh, I had so many people last year could have invested if this law was passed earlier. But so now it's 200K. You have to invest with that 200K. Doesn't matter which fund it is, even if it's a minimum of 50, you still have to invest that full 200K. But that's a new rule that passed in March. So
Well,
there
thanks,
you go.
Cindy. And
You're
then
very
that's
welcome.
really a game changer as we look back in the last year and a half of people that we've made contact with and trying to get them into deals that take an accredited investor. There are several people out there that were close, but just not
Mhm.
quite there. Now this rule puts a whole other group of people back into that accreditation pool. So it should be exciting. Do you know, Cindy, when we look at like I own rental properties, does the value of those rental properties count, or is it just the equity that I own?
Equity,
It's the equity
equity
portion.
minus the debt.
Got it. So
So you owe 500, you have 500K house, you owe 200, you only have 300K equity.
got it. Perfect. We have all sorts of people that have equity tied up in a house that puts them in that category. So
Yes.
well, that's a great segue, and that wasn't planned, but it's a great segue into what I want to talk about before we talk about our deal. And the reason I want to have a segue in the front is twofold. One is I want to do a little education because we had a question last week about investing with a HELOC, but also Mitch is on a flight tonight, like he was last week. He's a traveling man, but he's also delayed. So I'm not sure we're gonna get him or not. Cindy, do you know his last update?
Well, his last update said early, but he said 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, and it's 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, so I don't think
Yeah.
so.
So maybe we won't catch Mitch, and that's okay. We'll go through the pitch deck without him. But what I did want to talk about was using a HELOC. And I know Cindy wants to go grill onions, but I want to hold her for a minute because
That's
she's
all right.
my
I'm actually
expert in the
wanting to know where my
field
water
because
was.
she does this a lot on deals.
Mhm.
Is that you can actually take equity out of your home
HELOC.
using a
Yep.
home equity line of credit. Usually those have some pretty decent rates,
Mhm.
and the best way to find those is in your local market. Local
Yes.
smaller bank, usually a credit union, maybe someplace that you
Correct.
currently bank with now. Those usually have the best rates. You can go to the big boys and banks, but usually those rates aren't so competitive. Um, if you can find a great rate for your equity, then we can use those funds into a deal like we're going to present tonight, where we're talking about a 16% return over 6 months, right? Short term, fairly good competitive rates, way in excess of what a HELOC rate would be. And you can actually arbitrage or make passive income off that difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So I went and used my HELOC. I took 200K out. I had an introductory rate. I went through a credit union. I had an introductory rate of 6% for the first year. So that's 6%, right? And I loaned it out at 12%. So I was making 6% just on my HELOC. Um, but I did go, so that first year I did get that introductory rate. So I have 200K out working right now. So I would look, if you're gonna go, look at your local banks, your small local banks, because they're gonna give you the best deals.
So just a quick math in my head, you were borrowing it at 6, arbitraging it out at 12. The difference there
Mhm.
is 6% across $200,000. That's $12,000 a year and roughly $1,000 a month that you were making in
Mhm.
income from money that, well, it was yours, but it wasn't really yours, right? It was tied up
Yeah.
in your property. So the equity in your home versus the HELOC account that you could get is what kind of ratio? 70, 75%?
Yeah, 75%.
Yeah, and that's quite typical from everything I've seen is, maybe 80, but that's pushing it, but 75 is
Yeah,
the norm.
yeah,
And
yeah,
So,
Cindy, on those,
yeah,
do you have to make payments, monthly payments to your HELOC?
yes, yes,
Okay.
monthly payments, yes. Yeah, and I shopped it, like, I talked to 3 or 4 before I even decided.
I currently have a home equity loan. I just
Okay.
wonder what it would take to transition that, I guess, a whole rewrite, right? To transition that
Yeah, because,
into,
yeah, because I could transfer mine into the loan and get a lower rate, but I don't know if I need all my 200, right? I could, and then get even the lower rate, because I'm past my year. But I guess I'd have to find out what the penalty is if I pay that loan off. Like, say I only, because usually the loans they want out, that's how they make their money. That's why it's not a credit line. I don't know what the penalties are on the loans.
wow.
Yeah, and do you know what your
Once you,
penalty is?
I don't,
Yeah,
I've never, I didn't take it out at the time considering investing or any of that. So I just didn't pay attention. But once with the HELOC, once you loan it and pay it off beyond your introductory rate,
Mhm.
is it still worth utilizing for investing? What does your rate go up to after the introductory rate?
I think it was like, it was prime plus 0.75. I don't even know what prime is today. I'm probably at around 9 something now. So now I'm not making as much, but it's better than not making anything.
Yeah,
So,
that's
um,
good to know.
yeah, I mean, I was making pretty good money when I first started, so, but
and now being all things being equal, if we were starting from scratch today, that 200,000, we wouldn't put it to work at 12%. We have deals
yes.
that pay much better than that, right? We have baseline deals that start at 16% APR, and we have some deals that are 16% for 6 months.
Flat.
So,
Yeah. So once I get all my money back, I'll put it into the flat deals.
yeah. And
It's
keep
just
it
a matter of
short
coming back.
term, high interest rates and conversions. Stick with a great team, a great track record
Yeah,
like we have.
yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of deals that Cindy and I have seen people come in and raising capital for great rates, but they have no track record. And these are important things. This is one of the things that prior to the show earlier today, Cindy and I were talking about is we know some people who um, are loaning or asking for private funds, and we know they have a crappy track record, but they're still out there pitching deals.
Yeah.
Look and see who you're um,
Make
working
sure you
with.
get references.
Get
That's
the
what you say.
references.
Get the references. Like Shane and I could give everyone like 12 references right now. We wanted
Easy
to.
peasy.
I can
That would be
tell
easy
you,
peasy.
I've actually been following you guys for some time because I am of the same mind. I like to see, how it operates, if it continues operating, how many are involved, and does the offering continue, all of that. So that's really what brings me here today. Probably one of my first attendance to one of your presentations was probably almost a year ago, if not a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're
So,
still doing the same thing and we still have more references. Are you just
yeah,
watching out of the wrinkles?
that's exactly what I watch for, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I watch for.
Yeah. Stacy McIntosh gave us a great reference on the last video. She's at the very end. I mean, she spoke probably for 10 minutes on just a wonderful reference
Saw
for
that.
us. Yeah,
Love that girl.
yeah.
So with that, and I know with Mitch not being here, um, and we're not really stuck to a format, we can go through the pitch deck like we always do, or we have a few minutes. Stacy or Umesh, Andrew, Marcella, do you have anything specific that you came here for tonight that, as Stacy was saying earlier, sometimes it's hard to pin Cindy and Shane down in a room together and say, hey, answer my questions, because we're always so busy and on the run. Here's a great chance. We'll gladly stop the show and answer some questions. Otherwise, I'll proceed through the pitch deck as scheduled. Um, what say you?
For me personally, I've seen part of the pitch deck, so I would appreciate you just going through that. I don't have any questions right now, but I might once we get through it.
Perfect. All right. And then I see everybody else has their camera off and on mute. So we're going to proceed with that. I want to let Cindy go grill some onions. And so I'm going to remove her pin. There we go. And in the chat, I did drop a link to the pitch deck. This pitch deck is live. So as we go through and we update deals, what's been funded, what's closed, if there's a new deal that's come back out. Oh, sure. Now you're going to come back. I thought you were going to go grill onions, Cindy. I'll put you back on the spotlight. So as we do more deals, we will update that, and that link still works. So if you just save that, it's always there. You can find it on the Facebook group as well. So I am just going to click the same link that everybody else does, and I will share my screen. And hopefully, oops, you see something that says
Oh, you know what?
Unster.
We've had two questions about this particular subject today. Talk about the usury laws. It won't
Oh,
affect us because everyone is in an LLC and they are on the type. Can you explain that, Shane?
yep. So the deals that we're looking at specifically here in this pitch deck, we had a great question to come up and says, hey, the usury laws in Florida don't allow you to go over a certain percentage. And I forget off the top of my head what that is. So I don't want to repeat it and be wrong, but let's just say it was 14%, um, for example. And we're offering a 16% for 6 months. How does that not violate usury laws? Well, we're not really in a strictly lending um, we're not the lender, you're not the borrower. We're not the borrower, you're not the lender. And this deal, you're actually partners with us. We're going to have a JV agreement. We're going to have one LLC that you be part owner with, and you're actually going to be part owner of the house. So people ask, well, what lien position am I in? You're the owner. You're actually senior secured position. That's the best position to be in. If the deal goes sideways, you don't have to foreclose. We just give you the LLC and take over the property. We have never had to do that yet. Again, going back to Stacy's point, we've been doing this long enough. We stand through all our deals. Um, this is real estate, so we can say that we've had some great deals that been like on time, on budget, hit the ball out of the park type of deals. And we've had some that just seem to be disasters from day of closing. So, but we have always made our PML whole, and we've always kind of gone through the deals and hey, we've communicated 100% of hey, what's going on, what's good, what's bad. So, um, to answer Cindy's question though, you get around the usury laws by not just being a borrower lender relationship. You're actually part owner on a JV agreement and on the LLC.
These are PMP, not PML.
Correct. And the way it's written, the notes, is you actually are giving a 16% flat guaranteed rate, meaning if we don't make more than that, we don't get paid. We pay all the private money lenders first. Any residual capital beyond that then flows back to us as the primaries. That's the only way that we make money is getting the deal done on time, on budget, within the parameters um, as agreed within our private money lenders. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Are
Perfect.
all the properties in Florida, all Mitch's properties?
No, we have
Okay.
properties all over. We have quite a few in Florida right now, and what we've done is we've actually found a series of houses that we're getting from an insurance adjuster, insurance company that, through the hurricane had some damage that was there, and the people don't want to rebuild. We're getting the houses at a great price.
Like they're like 40 to 50 cents. So there's a
So
lot of room.
we have one that we've closed on. We have one that we're closing on. We have three offers out right now. So that's St. Pete, that's Treasure Island, but it's all that greater area. So we have a lot of deals there, but we also have deals in the pitch deck, and I'll show you later. We have quite a few in Atlanta, greater Atlanta area, Colorado, Texas, Arizona. And you'll see a lot of Shakopee is one of those ones that we recently closed. That was in Fort Worth. Um, most of these are fix and flips that we're doing. The exit strategy primarily is, refurbish, renovate, and sell the property. There are a few that will come in here. We'll say we're going to keep this one. So we go through all the deals and we kind of cherry pick the ones we go. This fits our long term model. We're going to keep this one, and we'll tell you that up front. From our partners, private money partner perspective, it's still that same short term, 6 months. This that we're going to be the buyers at the end of it.
Okay.
And Cindy, Shane, like I said, you've been following us for a year. You may not know Mitch Pomeroy. He has been around in the community, um, not
He's
our
been in
community
sub,
so much.
he's been in sub two longer than we have been in sub two.
Yeah. Um, he had a very large Airbnb business, and he survived through COVID with that, but saw a lot of the writing on the wall as far as restrictions. At the time, he had over 70 Airbnbs, and he exited all of those. And Cindy and I, we still own one. Cindy exited that. I still own one. Um, but that model's changed. A lot of attention's been given to co-living, especially through pad split. But I see that same track record going on in a lot of cities is that, hey, that's a hot thing. That's right. It's a new shiny object. But I see a lot of cities coming in going, not my town. We don't want nine people living in a house that are unrelated. And we're going to I believe we're going to see a lot of new rules and regs come out governing the um, operation of these co-living houses, especially ones that have 8, 9, 10, 11 bedrooms in them. So, but we'll see. So between us, we all have a great experience. Cindy and I do a lot of the capital raising for these. Mitch runs around, he flies around managing the contractors. Um, Also behind the scenes working, we have our own VA on staff. We have multiple people working on the acquisition side. We do a lot of pay per click advertising in our markets. So we answer our own phones. Um, for the properties that we keep, we have our own property managers, project managers. So Mitch has developed this team over last 14 years, and the TCs have been with him since the beginning, and they're just fabulous. They're on it, and if you need anything, If you start investing with us, first thing we do is put together a group email and introduce you to everybody and just say, okay, here's a team that's going to take care of you. And everybody just stays in communication that way. It just is easier so you can have full transparency of who's doing what when. But it's not a one-man show. And I think that's very, very important to talk about is when you are working with us, you're working with a team, right? And if you're I've seen it before. People come in and you invest with them, and they are the person who's managing the contract. They're managing the contractors. They're managing sourcing all the materials, right? All that stuff. And they're trying to grow their business too. So they're out doing acquisitions and they're answering the phones. Well, if they're answering the phones, who's watching the contractor and who's watching the books? And um, I love those people because I was one of them. I've been one of them. We all have to start somewhere, but when you're on a team, everybody's in their own lane and doing their own expertise. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
Like again, we work in markets that are, or we have buyers. You know, we really look at markets where we're looking at 30, 60 days on market tops. So especially when we're doing fix and flips, we want to make sure the house, when we're done, is going to sell. Um, we have backup plans. So I'll put together a plan for this first deal we're looking at, Stacy, and it's going to be okay. The plan is we're going to fix and flip it, but we also look at it and go, well, what happens if it doesn't work without the way we want? What's plan B and then what's plan C? So we look at it and go, okay, can we then usually the fastest, easiest way then is to seller finance it. So we'll put together a package, a wrap package, go out and find a qualified buyer, qualified for us, but who may not be able to go to the bank and get financing. Well, that person will be a great home buyer. That would be a plan B. And plan C, then we could always look and rent the house long term, depending on the type of market it's in, or bring it in, maybe an Airbnb for a short term or a corporate rental. So we always like to have backup plans. Right now, our business model really focuses on our acquisition. We believe that the money in the deal is actually made when you buy it. We know what the target looks like when we're going to be closing on it. We're kind of really conservative on a lot of our ARVs. So you can do some things to push that ARV up, but you really get to the point where you're starting to trade off by pushing the ARV outside the market. Your trade off is how many days on market do you want to wait to get that money back? We would rather have the house turn faster, stick to the ARV that's in the plan, get the house sold 30, 60 days tops, get everybody's money back out. Let's go on to the next deal. So we really focus on the acquisition side, getting the best price, because that's when we have a profit built in.
And this offering is for lenders for a particular property. This isn't the fund option you guys were talking about. Is that right?
Correct. We will show
Okay.
you multiple properties here in just a second. And we'll
Okay.
go property by property. And you can say, ooh, put me on that one, or
Yeah.
I don't like Florida, put me in Atlanta. And that's your choice. You get to choose.
Yeah, Stacy, the fund option is the mobile home park.
Okay.
Yeah, that's different. We're not talking about that one tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that model really is that, okay, you're in the fund, and then the fund managers, they're picking the deals, and they're going to just come back and tell you, okay, Stacy, we bought this property, and you're just along for the ride, right? And that's a little different than what we were offering tonight.
Okay.
You're in the driver's seat tonight. Yeah. So we do some fix and flips where we're out buying properties. Typically, we use hard money to close on those. We use private money then to fill in the gap. We also have bought houses subject to. We won't talk a deep subject about subject to tonight, but we are buying those houses with the existing mortgage in place. And then we also, very similar to that, is what's called seller finance. So we have bought a few houses, not many in our portfolio, but we have bought a few houses where we had great seller financing options, and it's hard to say no when you got great terms.
These are all second lien positions.
No, not all. Majority of them are, but we do have some that we've done first position with.
Well, wait, Shane, they're not second position because they're on an LLC. Unless I just missed something while I was doing my onions.
Yeah, yes, you are correct, Cindy. But I think Cindy's point was, are all these going to have a first
Money
lien
lender.
position, hard money, private money, or subject to it? And I'm sorry, I jumped to a conclusion there, Stacy, that that was what you were asking.
I heard you mention hard money, so I assumed they'd be first position and lenders coming in would be second position.
Yeah, because you are private money partner, not a lender, you're actually in the owner seat.
Okay.
And as Cindy had acquired, we can put all sorts of credibility out there. We have all sorts of videos on YouTube. So does Mitch. And we have several video testimonials. Here are 6 from Mitch we'll share. We have 12 on our Creative Real Estate University Facebook group. And if you've partnered with us before, we would love to have a conversation with you. Usually takes 5-10 minutes. And what we ask is, why did you choose private money lending? Why did you choose to partner with Shane and Cindy? And what could we have done better to serve you? And that's it. And it's real painless, but we have lots of great testimonials. And I think that is the best sign of, hey, are you working with the right team? Is that, hey, they've closed on deals and they made their private money lenders and partners happy. Um, we do have 50/50 Venetian, which is our St. Pete house. We do have this one back on here. We had to get an extension. We had one private money lender who was concerned about usury laws and watched the video. So, and she backed out 11th hour. So we have to backfill her position, which was,
Even though we told her there's no user, I think she's just, it's
you
fine. We
know,
gave her her money back. She's just
yeah,
scared. It's fine.
and that's okay. Baby steps for everybody. So this one's back on the market. We need just a little bit more to close it. We have 1 week on the 30th. So 1 week from today. So this one is purchase price is 480. The after repair value, um, just over $1 million. It's got great um, equity in the deal from day one. Um, and this is the area that we're really going to be focusing on. We got a lot of these little waterfront properties, and we've been watching the days on market there. It just fits everything in our checklist. So um, we're excited about working in St. Pete in the greater area. I'll update this so that June 19th is changed to the 30th. That just
Remember, can you go back for 1 second, Shane?
yep.
So let's just say we close this property on Friday. You put $50,000 in, you're gonna get your 16% prepaid. Probably not on Friday, but definitely Monday or Tuesday of the following week.
Right. So when we close and purchase the property, we pay your interest upfront. And again, coming back to those people who want to use a HELOC, and we've done this before, we were repaid monthly payments so that our investors could pay their payments to their HELOC. But what we found is makes people nervous going, hey, I need it's Thursday. We're going to see their check today. Is going to come in tomorrow. So I got to make my payment. And what we said here is it's easier if I just pay you all 6 months in front. You have it in your hands, you have it in your bank account. You know you made your money. And at the end, we just pay you back your principal.
Marcella, it's not second lien. you're a partnership on an LLC. You're on mute.
Okay, you see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not second lane.
So you mean we'll be creating an LLC with us being on the LLC or
Yes,
whoever?
correct.
So it's a PMP. A private money
Okay.
partner. Yeah. But you're only loaning out for 6 months. And once you're paid off, you're off of the deal. So you're only on the deal for 6 months as a private money partner.
So who would do the LLC? You guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we have our transaction coordinator on staff, and she'll have it all written up and drafted. And as soon as we get a commitment from you for a dollar amount, they'll, within a day or two, they'll have the paperwork draft with your percentage, and that way it's in your hands and you can look it all over before closing. Because we want you to see all that prior to closing, be comfortable with it, ask questions, make changes, etc., before you wire your funds.
So what state would the LLC be registered in?
That's a good question. I believe they've been doing them in the state the property resides. So in this case, it would be Florida. I don't know that they're doing sorry. I don't know if you hear that or not, but I got a call coming in on.
Uh-uh.
No.
That's a great question for Mitch, and I'll have that better answer for you, Marcella, after the show. I'll reach out to him.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, but this is the one, like you said, 16% upfront at closing, and the term is 6 months.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if we get a deal done in 5 months, you still got paid for 6 already.
I was gonna
All right,
ask
well,
that.
let's go.
How often does that happen? Does he usually go out the 6 full months, or does he
Really
pay it
close to
off
6.
like when the flip is done?
Yeah, it's really close to 6 months because 6 months is an aggressive timeline. And we've come up, that 5.5 months, 5 months in a week. But all those extra days are all rounded back to you at 6 months. The contract does have in there, okay, if we needed another week, you're all paid a per diem, a daily rate until it's closed. So I think you asked, are all our deals in Florida? No. This one here we have is in Las Vegas. This is a smaller amount. We're looking for 165 on this one. This one also goes out to June 30th, not the 19th. So I need to have that one updated as well. I think I might
Just
have.
so, Shane and I have also invested like our own funds too. Obviously, we don't have lots of funds that we can do every single deal, but we actually invested in a nail salon in Las Vegas with Mitch. So we're part owners with Mitch on a nail salon. And we got paid exactly the same way. We're all on an LLC, and we got paid right at closing.
And I mean, like Cindy, I have money out that's still at 12% at 12 months. When all that does come back in, this is the deal flow I'll be in are these shorter term, higher interest rate projects.
How long has he been paying the interest up front like that?
That's something we just started.
Oh.
As we come, and I say just started in 2025, we're just trying to figure out how to stand out in the market a little bit.
Yeah.
And, as we've been doing our private money lender interviews and just, that final question we ask is, well, how can we better suit you? Is people have said, hey, I like the monthly interest payments because I'm making payments on a HELOC or I'm living off of them. We have people who actually live off like a paycheck. But they're like, every month I kind of get to the end of the month, I go, I know how it's going. Is the deal going to be okay? He says, you've never done me wrong, but there's always that thought. So we kind of kicked that one around for a while. We said, you know what? Why don't we just pay everybody their money up front? And that way Stacy doesn't have to worry about it. Marcella doesn't have to worry about it. It's there. You got it in your hands and you control, and you can then plan out your 6 months. You know what your payments are. Set that money aside. Whatever the extra is, right? The frosting on the cake, whatever that is, you already know you can go spend that. Your reserve is in your control, not ours. We like putting you in the driver's seat.
Nice.
Actually, I just want to say something. I came back. So what I did, I didn't use my HELOC for the nail salon, but I'll tell you what I did. I I loaned out $60,000. Okay. I got my 16% back paid up front. I compounded it and sent that out
Another deal. Yep.
on another deal. So I have zero money right now. Everything is out. Even on my four still okay. I have like $1,000. I could send that out, I would.
It's
I just
awesome.
need to
That's
deal
how it's
with-
supposed to
yeah.
work, isn't it?
Exactly. So I got all this interest up front and I have no money. So when people ask me hey, Cindy, you got money? I said, no, I'm tapped out right now. But yeah, I compounded it.
And
So-
I would love to say that I was smart enough to think of that strategy up front, and that's why we did it that way. But in truth, one of our private money partners came in and said, "Hey, if you pay me back at closing, can I take that money and reinvest it?" And we're like, "It's your money. You can do whatever you want with it."
Yeah.
And she did it, and we're like, "Hey, you're making interest on the interest that on a project that's not even done yet. How cool is that?"
So it's
So
the Doug just did it too.
yeah,
Doug took all of it. Doug had like $15,000. I said, why are you having it sit there? We'll take it. So he just gave it to us.
So Shane, I have a question. What would be the benefit of being PMP then versus PML?
All right, so great question, Marcella. This is where we talked about usury laws. So if you are strictly a lender with us, and not a partner, we'd have to deal with usury laws, which has a cap on how much interest you can actually charge for your money.
Even if you have a JV agreement?
Well, see, that's where it gets a little gray line-ish, right? So here we put you clearly on this side of the table and say, we have a JV agreement with Marcella. She's actually a partner. Pull her into the deal just for the short term, though. So get you clearly off of, hey, is she really acting as a lender, but a JV agreement just there for skirting around the rules? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I want to mention, so the great thing about being a PMP partner versus a second lien is that God forbid something happens to Mitch, like the worst thing could happen, right? That he can't perform on the loan, say something happened in 3 months, right? We're all LLC members where we can come in and finish the project, sell it, right? And all get our money back. Whereas if we were in second lien, the hard money lender would be the one to decide. So we can come in and save the project and not lose our money.
How many people are on the note? So we're talking about like how many people are in the LLC?
It depends on the project. And for example, this one we're looking at in Vegas, the person I'm talking to actually closes on it, we'll have one additional person. One person's going to come in the full 165. For Venetian that we just looked at, I think there's probably five. So we're missing
People
one.
came
So
in
maybe we'll
smaller
end up with
chunks.
six. So, in that range. So it does depend on project. Ideally, we'd like to see someone with a minimum of 50K come in for each position. We've done a little less for people who are repeats. Like Cindy was saying, someone might come in on the next deal and want to roll over their interest that they just had. So it might be like Doug with 15,000. We'll just add them in. And so then, yeah, okay, add 6, 7 people to the note. But we prefer to have our primaries come in 50 to 100,000 be ideal.
Being a PMP is better than second because you're part of you're a partnership.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
if there's more than, I don't know, let's say there's 5 of us on the LLC for PMP, then, God forbid, like you said, something happened to Mitch and then now we have a property in hand. What if one of those 5 LLC members disagree?
Well, there's a in that LLC, there's shareholders. So say you had the majority of the shareholder, you get the majority of say. It's broken up into 100%.
So if there's
Based on
5
what
of
you
us,
win.
that will be determined by the amount of the funds that we invested in. So let's say one person does 35% and then the rest divided up, the other 4 do divided the rest. That means that the person with the highest amount of investment will have the say so.
Well, no, I mean, it's really
Huh?
everyone has to say so, but you just asked if someone disagreed, right? If you have 4 and 1, 4 people versus 1 person, and the 1 person disagrees, I mean, and there's 4 other people, everyone's going to try to want to get their money back.
And something happened to Mitch, Cindy and I, and Mitch's team are all still here as well. So it would have to be not just, we lose Mitch in a plane crash because he's gallivanting around the U.S. looking at other deals. Um, I'm based out of Michigan. Cindy's based out of Arizona. Mitch is based out of Las Vegas at the moment. He's moving to St. Pete to be closer to the deals that we're doing. His team's primarily based out of the Philippines. We do have some help in the U.S., but so we have a lot of coverage and a lot of backup, a lot of redundancy.
Yeah. I think on our nail salon, there's 5 of us
Fine.
on
Yep.
it. Yeah, there's 5 of us on that note. But yeah, I'm actually glad there's 5 of us on there because this mitigation of risk, right? I mean, God forbid something does happen where we have to go get, I don't know, a lawyer or something. We all have to pitch in, right? I mean, there's mitigation of risk when you have more people. I get it. We don't want 20 people on an LLC, but you can have 20 people on an LLC. But
Yeah.
you have the more people you have on the LLC, it's mitigating the risk. But
And
yeah,
we've
I
seen
mean,
this
there's
on
definitely could be.
larger commercial deals, like multifamily deals, where you might have a fractionalized note that has over 60, 70 investors on it, and
Yes,
and
I
you
know
don't
Pace is,
know until the deal
yeah,
closes. And
Pace is doing that fractional note. All those have that fractional note. There are lots and lots and lots of people on that LLC. What is it called? Fractional? I don't even know what it's
the app
called.
is called fractional, but
Yeah,
fractionalized notes been around for.
yeah, but there are like hundreds of people on those LLCs.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Andrew, how you doing today?
Good, good. Hey, I, I was just curious. I just really want to understand how, like the payments, like how you pay that back. You said you get your 16% at closing, so you get paid up front.
Correct. So, for example, Andrew, if you wanted to come into this deal with $100,000, when we close the deal, like this is gonna be next Friday, we would pay you, we'd wire you back $16,000. This is your interest for the next 6 months. You have it up front. We did that because we recognized a lot of people were using that to pay their HELOC or some other type of credit line, or they're living on that funds and they didn't want to have to worry about it. Um, Obviously, we still have your principal. You don't see that until the project closes, but your 16% is actually paid up front.
Gotcha. Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, and that's like I said, that's Mitch's came up with that, and it was like, how do we stand out from everybody else? Well, let's take the worry rate out of it, and that way you have your interest up front. It's already in your pocket. You have that one back. It's like security.
Right.
And,
Okay.
and a double bonus again, if we can close early on the remodel and the refinance, the fix and flip, you've already got paid for 6 months,
Right.
even if we get done sooner. So,
Okay. And then as far as like, um, if we want to reinvest again, we would just, I mean, it would just be completely start over and invest in another new deal and just continue the process.
yep, we are at the pace right now about 2 to 3 deals a month. So in 6 months from now, when your money comes due, we'd wire it back to you. Of course, we'd be on the phone with you before then, saying, "Hey, we got deals coming up, Andrea. You don't want to be with us again." And then once you receive that money back, we'll let you then come back into the next deal. Um, and Cindy's gonna remind you that, hey, not only did you have that 100,000, but where'd that 16 go? Let's get the whole thing working. So watch out for Cindy.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks for answering my
You're welcome,
questions.
Andrew.
So
Hey, Shane.
Shane, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just had a question about something you were talking about a while ago, Shane. Is it, can you give us an example of a time when something went awry and how Mitch was able to solve it? Like there's always, there's always potential for things to go wrong. How does Mitch handle things like that? You said that he's not had any defaults at all, right?
Correct. The example I'll give, actually, Stacy, is for Cindy and I. We had some properties we bought in Philadelphia. We bought those through PML, no hard money loans. We went right out and bought them, raised $700,000. Um, it was more than that. It was a little over $1 million. We bought the house, paid for the rehabs, all of it, right? All private money, no hard money involved. Um, Picture perfect rehab. It was done to budget, no overages. It was done on time within the week that we said it would be, right? Went beautifully. What we didn't know is on the backside of it, we planned on keeping these houses. We had a couple that we were going to keep for Airbnbs. There's one that we were going to convert over to co-living. Um, and actually, we ended up turning them all into co-living, but that's a different story. But what we didn't know is because we were less than 6 months, we had trouble with the refinance. And the lender that we thought we had locked in said, no, 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 you can't do that. You paid cash for the house. The law doesn't let me go back and refinance this house. I said, I can't do it. If you would have came in with a hard money loan or any kind of loan, I can get you refinanced. But the way you bought it cash, there's a seasoning period.
Mm.
And like all of a sudden, the 6 months term that came up was like dust in the wind. There's no way we're going to close on this house in 6 months. So we had to go back to our private money lenders and say, hey, we're going to go over. Our notes had, these were actually lenders, not partners. These were lenders. And our notes had I think it was a daily fee. So not only were you making your interest, but you were paying a pretty hefty late fee on all those. And that still took us well over 4 weeks to close. And we came out of pocket 30, $40,000 in late fees before that was all done on our end of the deal. But all private money lenders made out like bandits because not only did they make great returns, they also got the late fees on top of it. So
Yeah. And we have references on those, and we actually, Audra keeps giving us our money.
yeah,
I mean, she's another one that keeps, likes to lend to us because we paid all of our late fees. But we actually, I'll tell you what happened on another one of our deals. Our house on High Street was done in 4 months. There was a title issue. a title, not even on us, not even on the contractor. We had a title issue in Philadelphia that our house was not recorded properly. So we were late. We couldn't even close because the lender said, hey, your house is not recorded properly. And of course, the
That
city
was
of
a
Philadelphia,
disaster
that
too.
was, the city of Philadelphia was like slow as molasses.
Right. It wasn't even
Uh,
our title company. We had because we had closed, sent all the paperwork in. The city didn't record it, and we had no recourse with them. Title didn't have any. We couldn't like force them to record their own documents. It was.
that was a stressful period. That's when I had a lot of hair color.
What was the
Um,
fix for that?
we had to wait it out. Shane and I paid the late fees, you know? That's what we did. We paid all of our late fees. We paid all of our lenders. We did ask I do remember we do have one lender in for a little bit longer, but gets paid before the first, on time. No problem. She gets paid every month, but it was $20,000 and she said, no, I'll stay in. But we paid her, she lent us 100K. We paid her 80,000 back and she stayed in for additional 20. So that's how we solved that one. And she made all of her late fees. We made all of her late fees, so she was okay with it. So, yeah. For Mitch, I don't have any stories. I do know that it's been brought up before, but if there is a problem, he can refi everyone out. Once everything's done. So he's done it before. If something does go sideways, he does have other projects. So he has like 3 or 4 fix and flips going every month. So
Yeah.
that's how he pays off his lenders. He has a
Yeah.
whole fix and flip contracting team. I mean, the guy is never in the same spot. Last week he was in Dallas. Sometimes he's in the Philippines, and I ask him where he is because you can tell his cell phone. I mean, he's never in one spot. I don't even know why he's in California. So I don't
The
know.
owners club,
I don't think so. I
no,
mean, I
they're in
don't know.
California right now.
It could be. I mean, if you go in the vault, he has taught some of I think he teaches on notes. He's done notes before. Um so he's in the vault because I know Pace has asked him to teach stuff. He's been doing this since 2009. So he knows his stuff. I
Cindy,
actually, yeah.
no, I was gonna say a question on what you just said. So you guys said you paid off you and Shane paid the late fees.
Mhm.
Is that part of the JV agreement? Is that your all's responsibility to pay the late fees?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because in those specific case, those were lenders, private money lenders.
Okay,
So,
okay,
and that was part of the note agreement, the personal guarantee. Um, and those people, those are all in first lien position because we bought that house in cash, if I remember that one
okay,
correctly.
Yeah. Yes.
okay.
Yeah. So
So I
we
love
took
about
care of
real estate.
everyone.
There's 1,000 different ways to structure a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and I met Mitch 2 years ago at Raise Fest. We were supposed to be inside talk, listening to people talk, except we were outside chatting away. So I've known Mitch for about 2 years now. Um, yeah, like I said, he brought in some of these deals for us, and I was like, heck yeah. Because he does have the track record. That's really important for Shane and I, because that will ruin, if we can't, we have to be with people that we trust. Because
Mhm.
we can't represent or be partners with anyone that we can't trust.
And we've gone through some partnerships, and we figured out really,
Highs and
really
lows,
quickly that
yeah.
they're just not going to work. And we just don't do business with those people. So, um, Mitch has been fabulous, and he always answers the phone, and he's always there for us to support us, unless he's on a plane,
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
tonight.
and like I said, we have our money that in the deals too. So if like we do the test runs. Yeah. So,
And I think as we look forward into 2025, Cindy, I think
mhm,
what we see is we're going to continue down the path of real estate, right? With Mitch, we have lots of deals coming up. But Mitch, Cindy, and I are already talking about we want to do more business acquisitions. You
yeah,
know,
business.
we really enjoyed the nail salon. He has his eye right now. We're working on a eyelash salon, and that'll complement the nail salon and do a lot of overlap in both. But we're also looking at in St. Pete area, maybe a fishing charter, but really looking maybe for home services to help supplement the work that we're doing in all these houses is have those contractors actually work for us, right? They're our contractors, our businesses. That's kind of our plan moving forward as we look more into 2025 and ahead into 26.
Yeah.
It's
He also has a,
awesome. And I know that's not for this call, but I'd be interested in information if you're looking for,
me too.
yeah.
I keep telling him, I'm like, I want it on the next one, next business deal. He knows. I ask Shane almost every call. I ask, where's the next business? Where's the next business? Yes. But I'll definitely let you know, Stacy, because we funded that nail salon so quickly. It was funded in like, I don't know, less than 2 weeks. It was gone. Yeah, we'll definitely let you know.
Then also not, I know not for this call, but if you have a link to like information on your RV investing, I'd like to see that too.
Okay, you mean the mobile home park?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we should probably hop on a call on that one because I have to walk you through it. We can set up a call. I'll send you an email. Not a problem. Not a problem.
And just kind of a quick click through a couple of these slides because it's after 9 Eastern time here. But you see, we have a project here. This is a probate house we're looking at. This is another one in Georgia. Um, we have a couple of deals in here that we've already funded. Here's one that's in St. Pete that's been funded. Um, the other one in Dallas we've funded. Georgia. So a lot of the deals that we've funded, Shakopee Street was just 3, 4 weeks ago. We finished that one. We actually did 20% on that one to get that to close and fund. But that's one that we're actually going to keep as co-living. Here's another one we did in Austin, Texas. So we are all over the place. Here's another one in Arizona. And I'd like to find a few more in Arizona, but they kind of come in streaks. Um, we have one in North Carolina we were looking at. It didn't quite work out. We couldn't get it funded, but here it is as an example. Um, Another one in North Carolina and Colorado. So just kind of give you an idea of some of the houses we've done. In this case, this is a rental and how what the rental looks like, the ones that we've kept. And again, if you want to be on those, what that looks like, Stacy and everybody that's here, is you're in it for just the 6 months. We're going to do the remodel. We are going to hold this property. Oops, I won't click too many. And we're going to hold this property as long-term investment. So at the end of the 6 months, what we do is DSCR loan you out, unless we bought it subject to, and then we'll do a fix and flip and we'll actually get you paid out at the end of the 6 month term. So you don't have to be in it for the long term, right? Because that's what we found a lot of our private money lenders, private money partners, they want that money back. They want to count it, right? Make sure it's safe, secure. Their little bundle of eggs is all there, and then they'll go back to the next deal. And we love that because that just builds that trust. We do 2, 3, 4 deals together. We always know that when we call you, you're going to answer the phone and go, "What's next?" So
Yeah. And that's frankly exactly what I'm looking for.
yeah,
I want to keep it working.
yeah, we want to win you over with a track record, and then we know that you always come back to us. So, and then these are just deals that in there, like I said, save the link because it's evergreen as we fund deals where they just push them through the funded list. And the front end is all the ones that we are seeking capital on, and we try not to do more than 2 or 3 at a time.
One that's in Decatur, Georgia, the probate pending.
Yes.
What does that look like exactly? Is there any legal considerations that you need to know about for a probate?
Yeah, so because it's in probate, we have to go through that probate process. It has to clear the courts before we can actually close on it. There's an opportunity here to get a house for a really decent price, but it's a lot of work, a lot of legal work up front. So this
I
is in
see that
process.
August date.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while.
Okay.
Um, but we think this one should close in August. So it's
And Shane, where do you guys find this deal? Do you, I mean, look for them yourself, or you get them from other wholesaler, or what?
we run pay-per-click ads. So mostly through Google, some through Facebook, but mostly Google. And we have ads that run, we buy houses, cash type of ad, in all these different markets.
I see.
And they all go back to the VAs that we have.
Okay.
So all these deals here that you see, we don't do these through other wholesalers. These are internally generated leads.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how Mitch makes some other money. Some he doesn't keep and he wholesales them out. So he makes money that way too, to pay lenders off. I mean, he's got a whole team that goes out and, as you can see in the first slide or second slide, there's a whole team that is doing acquisition and dispo.
Mhm.
So if we get a lead that has some potential in a market that we don't like, and not that we're saying we don't like California, but for example, California is we might just find someone who's dealing in that market, who's there, who's buying in California. We just sell the lead to them and just wholesale that out rather than trying to fix and flip, find a team there. It's not an area that we're gonna hold. It's not, that backup plan of what do we do if we don't sell the house? Well, we don't want to have a rental in certain states. So we just don't do it. Well, I loved all the questions. I do appreciate it. Um, I think I will schedule a show with Mitch and Cindy and kind of do a live show, and we'll talk about all the horror stories. I love that question because what do you do when things don't go right? I think that's great to talk about those things. And
And the transparency is really
Me too.
helps with the trust, right?
Yeah,
Because when people say, "Oh, nothing ever goes wrong," I don't trust it.
yeah, I
yeah.
can tell you, we could have a whole show on pad split.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
but to know, the things that go wrong and how he solves them for the lender, to me, that's really important.
Yeah, I would love to do a whole show on that of, hey, come tell us your horror stories of deals you've been involved with that didn't go according to plan. I think that would
Yeah.
be a great show.
Then I was looking on some of these slides. Is ARV on here? I was trying to see. And do you provide comps somewhere, or do
Yes,
we just need
not
to go
here
through
on the
them?
slide deck, but we do have, like if you said, hey, this deal in Las Vegas or in St. Pete, I want to see the comps. We actually send you a more detailed email that has the breakout of the comps, it shows the budget for remodeling. It has a great detailed breakout on that, the timeline he has. Um,
And then I heard you say you put us all on a text. So is there like monthly updates, or what does that look like?
First Monday of every month.
Oh, okay, awesome. And we
Yeah.
get pictures and all that kind of
We
stuff,
get
or
pictures and updates.
oh,
So,
awesome. Okay.
yeah, and then that's a Mitch led Zoom and outreach, depending on the
Oh,
project.
okay.
So
So he just has a call and gives updates to everybody who all the lenders that he's working with at that time.
that's
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
And sometimes it's just, hey, we're on track, we're on budget. Here are the updated pictures. Here's what we've accomplished, and here's what's coming up next. You know, any questions? Da da da. Everybody's good. Sometimes it's much more involved than that. Like, okay, we opened up the subfloor, and look what we found. You know, and then we go into a bigger discussion of, okay, so we're off budget 10 grand already, 2 weeks in. How are we going to recoup that? Are we going to change the scope of work? Are we sticking to the scope of work? Are we still on track with timeline? You know, and he might come back and say, okay, we got adjusted contractors. We are stacking up contractors to work weekends so we can make up the week, et cetera, et cetera. He has those kind of um, what if scenarios and plans to share with you. And then I think it's very important is to say, hey, this didn't go right. We thought we were just going to do a little electrical in the back bedroom. Comes to find out, the whole panel doesn't meet code. That doesn't usually happen because we get full inspections on the properties. But for
Yeah.
example, those are things that we just go, hey, if there's not right, we're going to share it with all of our partners because we want full transparency. We want you to know the pains and troubles we go through as well. So,
Yeah.
and
And all the standard securities, the homeowner insurance with loss payee, all that kind of stuff is standard, right?
correct.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
one of the things that we've learned a while ago, and Mitch swears by this, is all of his contractors are licensed and we pull permits on every project. And we do that because we've learned over the years, if you don't, you're trying to skimp, save a dollar here, save a dollar there, it's going to come back and bite you. You didn't pull a permit, and at the 11th hour, you get a code violation. And the whole thing sits in pending resolution. Is going to cost you more, and it's going to be another 3 months delay or more. We just don't deal with it. We just start it off correctly. Licensed, qualified contractors, those are the people that don't disappear with your funds. Um, Makes a lot of headaches go away.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Awesome.
yep. So if you're interested in a project, one of these calls out to you, you want more information, let me know, let Cindy know. We can get you more information. We can get on a one-on-one call if you'd like and go over it. We can get on a call with Mitch and his team and go over it in more detail, whatever you'd like.
I'll take a look at the ones that you have available now. And I also want to meet with Cindy on those two other offerings just to get some high level
Yeah.
information.
Yep.
I'll
And
send you an
then,
email, Stacy.
okay, that'd be great. And then I'll be ready to decide.
We
Looks great
appreciate
though.
asking because the more educated you are, the more comfortable we all are.
Yeah,
Agreed.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you
Well,
guys
thank
so
you all
much.
for joining us tonight. We do appreciate it. And again, apologize. Mitch couldn't make it. His flight was delayed and has changed.
Yeah.
So,
But he has a lot, if you guys can watch those YouTube videos, he's got a lot of good questions have already been answered. So, he talks about mitigating the risk on the other videos that we did with him. If you need the video, let us know, because they're posted on our Creative Real Estate University, and our YouTube page. There's like 2 or 3 videos.
so next week, besides having the pitch deck, and we'll have Mitch join us, I'm also going to have a special guest on. And we're going to be talking about how to establish business lines of credit and 0% credit cards. Because one of the things we've been able to do is we can show you how you can take like $50,000 or $100,000 in business credit, especially we can get you in at 0%, and how we can get you in on a deal, and you can arbitrage the difference in rates and actually make a pretty decent monthly income. So we'll talk about that in more detail next week.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming. We do appreciate you, and
Thank
we'll talk
you.
soon.
Thank
All
you
right.
guys so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.